All right, then let us call the meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order, and we will begin by calling the roll.
Chairman Einhauser,
I'm present.
Vice Chair Blackman,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia. Present. Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Forte,
Present.
Commissioner Kinlock is excused but plans to join us. Commissioner Coleman is excused and plans to join us. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, very good then. Let's move on to the agenda, which you have before you. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the agenda as presented.
It's been moved and seconded. Any corrections or revisions to the agenda as proposed? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, and that is adopted. Then next, we move on to the approval of the minutes of April the 19th. Commissioners,
Mr. Forte. I move approval of the minutes.
And I support it.
it's been moved and supported. Any corrections or revisions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? And that is adopted. All right, next we come to public comment. And who will be making the introduction regarding how we will be conducting public comment?
I hear you. Oh,
Good afternoon.
Okay.
To make a comment, if you are in person, please sign the sign-in sheet. Your name will be called and you can proceed to the microphone. If you are online, please raise your hand by using the raise hand icon on your desktop or mobile device. If you are calling into the meeting by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. If you are online or on the phone, after your name is called, IT will give permission to unmute. In order to begin speaking, you will have to unmute yourself. To do so, press the unmute button, which is the microphone icon if you're online, or *6 if you are calling in. As a reminder, you will have a limit of 3 minutes to make your comment. There will be a timer indicating your remaining time. If you're online and make a comment, we kindly request you fill out the comment card link that's located in the chat. By filling out the card, we will have your contact information to follow up with you appropriately. If you are unable to click the link, please let us know and a phone number will be provided for you to call to provide the needed information. You will only be called upon once. Once the chair closes public comment, there will be no other comments from the public and all attendees will remain muted for the duration of the meeting. On-site comments will go first, followed by online and on the phone. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to begin by recognizing Mr. Dale Williams. Mr. Williams, please come forward. Good afternoon, sir. You have the floor.
Good afternoon,
Good
Commission. My name is Dale Williams and I'm the controller at Fago Beverages. In August of 2022, I received notification that our water rates would increase from where they had been previously. For Fago Beverages, that amounted to a 69% increase in water from our typical usage. 6 cents a gallon is our new rate. The rate structure that was implemented moved to an inclining block structure for all customers, where those who use more water pay more, even though it is cheaper to service higher volume customers than what it is those who use less. The result is that excuse me, sorry. The policy has moved a substantial cost increase to commercial and industrial customers, and we are no longer treated uniformly in the rate structure. Posing a 69% increase in our water rates causes companies to think, why they remain in the city of Detroit when the cost of business is going up. Fago has been in Detroit for 115 years. We've demonstrated a long-standing commitment to the city, to its citizens, providing a lot of good paying jobs. But as companies move out of Detroit, for various reasons, it leaves less customers to continue to pay and cover more and more costs. One of the items that we don't understand fully is a move from $20 million from what previously had been sewage cost to water cost. And that is a significant cost driver. Other cities around the country of similar size of Detroit have different classifications of groups of users. Cities such as Pittsburgh, San Diego, Tucson, Columbus, Louisville, Milwaukee break out residential and commercial industrial rates. When the rate was set, there was no rate structure advisory council, and there was no opportunity for public comment, just a letter informing us that our rates had gone up. If we're going to, we should have equity within our rates, within rates. If we're going to have a water rate for residents and a water rate for commercial and business industry, we should take a look at that. But this policy that we have right now in place where business and industry is penalized, and for Faygo, that happened to be a 69% increase in water, is an inequitable water rate structure. Thank you.
Oh, stay there. I'll call on Sam Smalley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We conducted a comprehensive cost of service study using one of the nationally known rate study consultants who looked at our overall water versus sewer cost allocations and ensuring that the costs were being allocated appropriately. All of that being said, we'd be happy to meet with Faygo to determine how they're being billed and what options may exist.
I mean, if, and I have no reason to believe what you're saying is not true. I mean, 69% just doesn't sound right. So we've got your contact information, Mr. Williams, and Mr. Smalley or one of his designees will specifically follow up with you, and we'll go over your account and see if we're treating it the right way. Okay.
I would greatly appreciate that.
All right. And thank you. I grew up in Detroit. We don't want Faygo to leave. I grew up on the east side in Detroit. We don't want Faygo to leave.
Thank you.
Next, Tamara Perrin. Good afternoon, Ms. Perrin. How are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you for your attention. I am speaking as an individual, as an advocate for seniors. I'd like to know what types of programs are being put into place to assist seniors who are above the poverty income level, but are in need of plumbing and water, say, repairs or services to their residents, such as things regarding impervious surfaces, like charging them for long driveways when they have been maybe residents for over 50, 40 years, maintenance, interior maintenance for their fixtures like toilets, sinks, tubs where they're leakage, but they're being taken advantage of because of they don't have contractors to really come in and give them credible service. Basement backups and hydrostatic pressure issues that many people with older homes are being faced with. And then also COVID moratorium, which prevented the fluid process of transacting business regarding water bill payments between landlords and tenants. So I'd like to know what types of things that the Water Department is going to put into place to address these issues so that we'll have sustainability of the citizens in the city of Detroit that they want to move out because of lack of services. And also contacting on the phone, it's still a problem with the wait of being answered on the when you call the Water Department. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have her contact information, and I would suggest that we assemble a small team of customer service as well as technical people who can help answer some of the questions that she raised.
Yes, we have your contact information, Ms. Perrin, and thank you very much. We'll follow up.
Mr. Chair.
Sure. Commissioner Blackman.
I'm curious about the concern about the wait time. So if she could share with whomever she's talking to, what wait time she's experiencing, because we've been getting very good reports about the amount of time customers have to wait to get to our customer service representatives. Thank you.
All right, and Sherry Robinson? Ms. Robinson? Chris Robinson? Oh, Chris Robinson, pardon me.
Sorry, Mr. Robinson.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Robinson, welcome.
I'm here as an individual. We've seen the concerning increase in crime, gun violence, bad adult behavior, especially reckless driving in our community. And we've heard the mayor, the Detroit Police, the Michigan State Police, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office put the call out for help because all residents and visitors in the Eastern District of Michigan deserve to feel safe in their homes, in the public, and on the road. I'm asking this honorable body to answer that call by leveraging the untapped and overlooked influence and resources of DWSD to let the current and future customers know that crime, violence, and bad behavior will not be tolerated in the DWSD service, addresses, and areas. I need to speak with someone in the legal department so we can discuss and explore ways for the DWSD to launch a program to assist in stopping crime, violence, bad adult behavior before it begins. Like DWSD can sponsor a by invitation only gun buyback programs. They can up the ante on rewards that the Detroit Police Department, Crime Stoppers, 1-800-SPEAK-UP, and they can also encourage and remind customers to bring the new year in 2024 with the celebratory flush of their toilets instead of a bang from their guns. Also, we've seen and we heard the devastating staffing cuts that face our DPS CD schools, because of the enrollment drops during COVID. My understanding is that if enrollment was increased by as little as 2,000 students, this would help prevent these drastic cuts from occurring. I'm asking this honorable body to help DPS recruit up to 5,000 students by crafting a multi-year incentive program and targeting our current DWSD customers with children residing in the city and that are currently enrolled in schools outside of DPS. Give them a reasonable break on their water bills in exchange for them enrolling or re-enrolling their kids in DPS CD. Just like the 15-year property tax abatement, the city afforded those residents that purchased those beautiful high-priced homes along the Lower East Side, along the river. I think it's called Shore Point, whom at the time needed an incentive to overcome the high property taxes that came along with subject properties. So if you can put me in touch with somebody, we can cooperate, make this happen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you.
I have no other names that have signed in. Are there any other people in the room that would like to address the board? If so, come on down to the podium. I don't see anybody. Do we have anybody online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have Cicely McClellan.
Mr. or Ms. McCollum? Miss
Cecily,
McCollum?
yes. Miss.
Yes, good afternoon. I am Cecily McClellan. I'm representing We the People of Detroit. I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to speak. We appreciated the relationship we have had with DWSD over the past year, allowing the community input into the Lifeline policy. As a result, we believe the policy is more reflective of the needs of the residents of Detroit. As DWSD staff has agreed, this is a living document that will change or evolve over time. The true test of the effectiveness of any policy is implementation and outcome. This is why we plan to pay close attention to the role and relationship of DWSD with the third-party administrator. In 5.2.3, it is the responsibility of the third-party administrator to enroll residents who exceed the water allowance or CCF in the Water Conservation Measures Program. However, in 6.4.3, it is the customer's responsibility to contact Wayne Metro or the third-party administrator to schedule a water conservation audit and possible plumbing repairs. We would like to know, have the residents been informed of this policy, and how many residents have contacted Wayne Metro, the third-party administrator, who have exceeded their water allowance to schedule a water conservation order and request plumbing repairs since implementation of the program? In 6.6.1, a hardship exemption for program arrearage indicates that a resident may contact the third-party administrator to apply for a waiver who has extenuating circumstances in paying their Lifeline bill or due to high uses within the current billing period. Have the customers been informed of the hardship policy waiver, and how many customers have applied for the waiver for billing or high uses since implementation of the program? In 6.7.1 relates to failure to comply with the Lifeline plan requirement. It says DWSD will contact the third-party administrator, Wayne Metro, when a customer fails to comply with requirements related to meter installation, payment, or forwarding of 1 month's balance. The TPA will then begin outreach services to provide case management services. Has DWSD notified Wayne Metro to initiate outreach to provide case management to customers in non-compliance, particularly as it relates to non-payment of a Lifeline bill? In January, DWSD reported over 2,500 customers that missed paying their last bill. This would cause a customer what would cause a customer paying an $18 bill to miss that payment? A good policy can be totally ineffective if it is implemented poorly or not at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan.
Mr. Chair, we have Tiana Starks.
All right. Ms. Stark?
Hi, thank you. My name is Tiana Starks. I am the Director of Communications with We the People of Detroit. Thank you all for allowing us to be here today and to speak with you. I would like to echo Ms. Cecily's sentiments in that we appreciate DWSD's engagement with We the People of Detroit, the water justice advocates, and the community as a whole over the last year. I want to specifically thank Deborah Pospich for her responsiveness to our questions. As it relates to door knocking, we had a couple of questions and you sent over a map that shows where doors have been knocked. And we just had some additional questions regarding the effectiveness of the door knocking campaign. Are you able to provide actual numbers for the number of people that have been made contact with and that have actually enrolled in the plan of those 49,000 doors? Based on the map, it looks like the vast majority have not been completed. So we just wanted to get some insight on the actual data around that.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Stark.
Mr. Chair, we have next Monroe Snyder.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. You have the floor.
Okay, very good, very good. I've been trying to reach you for a while, but I'll tell you what, I'm reaching you for. I'm representing the faith-based churches in the city of Detroit. And we're having a problem with the drainage fee. And the drainage fee, as an accountant, I see, I've been with a firm and we've done nothing but rates. But I see that this is being misapplied for the same reason that you have one rate for all. And these churches that have parking lots cannot afford to pay the high drainage fee and operate same way. Now, what I see is that the misapplication is that you're charging churches the same as you would charge salvage yards. You have junk yards and what have you that operate 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, dripping oil, rust, all kind of drippings, whatever it may come into the sewage system. So I can see that you may charge them, which is justifiable, but you're charging church bases just because they have a parking lot that's the same size as that junkyard. You're charging them at the same rate. And the drainage most certainly is not the same. So I think it's a misapplication. As an accountant, there is a principle we have is a matching principle. That is, you match usage with land, whatever you're doing. And the usage of the church, for instance, is 10 hours a week at the most, but you're charging them at the same rate. And you're driving churches out of the city. You had one that was on Van Dyke. Now the Van Dyke Church, still called Van Dyke, but it's at 9 Mile in Warren, Michigan. You have another church that moved to Roseville and they have bought a van to transport their people to Roseville from the city of Detroit. Now we have to do something about this. There's a misapplying when you're matching acreage. You're not taking into consideration usage. And usage of a junkyard most certainly isn't the same as the usage of a church parking lot. The drainage is not the same, and your drainage charge should be matching the uses as well. And I appreciate if you can reconsider what was happening here, because what you're doing is you're driving people right out of the city. So I think that this is one thing that committee should you should go back and see exactly why you're charging these fees other than that, and base it on more on usage rather than just acreage.
Thank you. Is it Reverend Snyder? Are you a pastor, sir?
He's gone.
All right, I'll just make one comment. I think we all appreciate the nature of the remarks. Regretfully, we are legally prohibited from charging different rates to different customers based on what kind of customer they are. But any individual ratepayer who believes that they are entitled to some relief from the drainage charges should contact us, and we can visit that site and discuss whether or not what we're charging is accurate and correct, and also talk about the potential for some opportunities to turn impervious surfaces into pervious surfaces that could reduce somebody's drainage fees. Okay. All right. And
may I say one other thing?
Sure.
I've met with Mr. Brown and whatever you at the church. I've met with them, and I can tell you right now, and I've read the Court of Appeals when they justified the charges of drainage storm fee. I know exactly what it says, and how you're charging have nothing to do with that. It have everything to do with your basing acreage against usage, and you're not taking that in consideration.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Mr. Chair, next up is Norel Hempfield.
Kenfield?
Hempfield.
Kempfield. Mr. Kempfield?
Good afternoon. My name is,
Kempfield.
yes, this is Attorney Norel Hemphill. I'm an Equal Justice Works Fellow, and I work in coalition with We the People of Detroit on water affordability in Detroit. I would like to thank the board today for your time and for allowing us this time in public comment. Since June of last year, we worked diligently with the Board of Water Commissioners on the Lifeline Plan, Detroit Lifeline Plan. And the reason that we do this type of work is to make sure that the policies and procedures that are implemented by the Board of Water Commissioners are the best for the residents of Detroit, and aren't more harmful to Detroiters. I want to thank you for this last revision of the Lifeline Plan. It has come a long way. And as we look forward, I think there's a couple things that we need to do to still tweak it. And of course, as we know, as Mama Cecily said earlier, this is a living document. Before I get into that, I want to say thank you for the online portal. I think that helps people to see in real time how the Detroit Lifeline is changing people's lives and impacting the community in a positive way. We definitely need a process for customers that's customer facing, that outlines the policy in a way that makes it very easy to digest, so that customers know exactly what to expect from the policy document and where to go when they have issues. Something like a flow chart or some visual representation that is available not only online, but that is tangibly available. So I'm not sure if this gets mailed out or whatever, because I'm not sure if the service centers are open now, as we still are in COVID, but something that clearly defines where customers can go for help and what those procedures are based on the Lifeline policy document. Again, we've come a long way. And I think if we continue to fine tune these things, that we can get it more close to water affordability and securing the human rights water for Detroiters. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Have we any other?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have 3 more hands raised. Next up is Taylor Pine.
Taylor? Kind?
Time.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon, and thanks for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Taylor Pine, and I'm on the communications team at We the People of Detroit. First and foremost, I wanted to thank the board for receiving feedback from residents and from advocates as well. I really appreciate their acknowledgement that this policy is a living document, as some of my colleagues have previously stated. And I appreciate the acknowledgement that this document can be changed when needed to best suit the needs of our residents. I echo the statements which my colleagues have already made, and I'd especially like to reinforce my colleague Attorney Narelle Hemphill's point about the need for policy clarifications, and also about the resident-facing document to explain and clarify the policy. Specifically, I believe that residents would benefit from having access to a user-friendly webpage and/or printed documentation providing details about overconsumption charges, which is mentioned in section 6.3.4, and also usage requirements, which are mentioned in section 6.3.2. In reviewing these sections personally, I found the current language was lacking detail and clarity. I believe that a resident-facing document would be beneficial to ratepayers as well as to the water service provider, as it would ensure that residents have a comprehensive understanding of the policy which they're enrolled in. Thank you so much for your time and the opportunity to provide feedback today.
Thank you, Ms. Tyne.
Mr. Chair, we have Gwendolyn Howard from We the People.
Ms. Howard? Good afternoon. You have the floor.
Good afternoon. Again, I am also from We the People of Detroit, and we thank you for working closely with us on this Lifeline program. My colleagues have just about covered all of the issues that we have, but in reviewing the map that was provided to us about the 49,000 door knockers and what have you, it does not, the key does not work with the map. So they're not correlated together. It's not an understanding there on what was done and who responded and how they responded. The question at the end said something to the effect that maybe they were home and maybe they weren't. So maybe a clarity on that and how we could actually use that in our knowledge for trying to see who responded, how they responded, if they responded. So the key does not follow the map with the X's and the color chart and so forth and so on. It's actually not even legible to know which color that's supposed to be. So my colleagues have covered everything, and we thank you so much for allowing us to review, adjust, and suggest, and you respond in a timely manner. So my colleagues at We the People of Detroit have covered just about everything on the Lifeline program, but I would like to ask one thing. The water and sewage mentioned by that pastor, how did that come about? And if at some point, can we get that answer? Why is there water and sewage? What started that? It wasn't always there. So is there an end to this? Or I know we have to still pay the water and sewage, especially the churches that are, but how did that, I thought it originated as paying a debt and now it's permanent. So is there an end to that, or is it merged in, or what?
Thank you very much, Ms. Howard.
Mr. Chair, that ends public comment.
All right, let me ask, is there anybody in the room or online who would like to address the board? Hearing none, then we will
Mr. Chair.
close public participation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
someone raised their hand. Monica Lewis Patrick.
Ms. Patrick? Ms. Patrick, are you there? Can you unmute yourself?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and greetings to the commissioners. And I would just like to join my colleagues and my team from We the People of Detroit and also thanking the commissioners as well as DWSD, the staff, Mr. Brown, and of course, a special dose of gratitude to Ms. Popchak, who has been very responsive to our request and many of our emails over the last almost close to a year now of trying to work through the different nuances of the Detroit Lifeline. But we would want to thank you for allowing the public input and also for the ongoing focus on making the Lifeline plan a successful possibility for water affordability in our city. And we believe that the improvements to the Lifeline will also help to inform movement at the state level for water affordability. We're in alignment about the importance of getting it right for Detroiters. And We the People of Detroit's team has spent countless hours reviewing the Lifeline plan policy and correlating it with the website to ensure that the information is accurate and that there's clarity in terms of the roles, the responsibilities, the actions, and also the consequences. And to that end, my colleagues are offering areas of specific feedback, but the big picture for us is that all is needed is to keep updating the policy in recognition, as has been stated, that it is a living and breathing document. We need to make sure that the updated information on the website is also correlated, as was stated by not only Attorney Hemphill, but also by Ms. Pine, as well as others on our team, that we must have a customer-facing document that explains a lot of the complicated information that is either not clear, specific, or accessible in ways that the community may need to digest it. And so we're just hoping that the things that we have offered to you today and even over the past year, that the intentions are there, that we have nothing but the best and highest good for the success of this body to ensure that water is clean, safe, and affordable to the residents of Detroit. So thank you so much for my time. And we look forward to continuing the conversation to get more clarity and more transparency on the document and on ensuring that the residents get the support that they deserve. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Patrick. All right, is there anyone else? Hearing none, then we will close out public participation and we will turn to the agenda as adopted. We are on item number 5 and item number 6. 6A is the monthly report of requests pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Are there any questions on any of those requests? And can we have a motion to receive and file?
Mr. Chair, I move
Yes.
that we receive and file.
All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded. Are there any questions on any of those requests? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is adopted. Item B is our report regarding damage claims for March. First, can I have a motion to receive and file?
Mr. Chair, move approval to receive and file.
Support.
And it's been moved and supported. Are there any questions on any of those individual damage claims? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. Item 7, are there any items from the commissioners? Colleagues? What's on your mind today?
Beautiful day.
It is. All right. Even with the allergies, it's a beautiful day. All right, then let's move to item 8, unfinished business. There is none. Item 9 is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items A through G, and these are individual motions that have been considered in detail at the committee level, and they are being presented to be adopted as a group. However, the consent agenda requires unanimous consent. And so let me ask commissioners, does anyone wish to take any item off the consent agenda and consider it separately?
Move approval of all of the consent agenda.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? I believe these all come from the Finance Committee, and Commissioner Forte is the chair of the Finance Committee, so it comes with that committee's recommendation.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Hearing no other questions or comments, all those in favor of adopting the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that motion is adopted. Next, we move to new business, item 10. And the first item of new business is 10A, 2023-1112. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Kinlock.
move approval of this item.
Motion.
What page is the resolution on?
It's on page 4 at the top of the page, item A.
Yeah.
Page 4,
Just read A.
Page 40.
48. Okay, 1 second.
It's 40.
48. 48.
40.
0, okay, thank you. Resolution right here, yes. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
upon recommendation of Issachar Rahman, CFO of the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, I move that the Board of Water Commissioners approves the accompanying water supply system capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2024 through 2028, and for fiscal year 2024 capital budget, and also authorize the director and the chief financial officer to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
All right, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or
Yes.
questions? Commissioner,
I just have a question. We're approving this, it's not here yet, it's 24 to 28. In that process, does somebody monitor this system? I'm just asking.
well, I'm sure the answer is yes.
Okay,
Uh,
is it
and-
monitored every
Well,
year?
I
every
think
2
we
years, or-
revisit this every year. It's a-
Absolutely.
it's
We
a-
look at it every year.
Every
It's a
year,
rolling approval.
yes.
Is that correct, Sam?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, this is our 5-year CIP. I would say it's actually monitored on a daily basis.
Spending a lot of money.
Very frequently.
Yes, and it is a rolling.
It's a
thing.
rolling period, so this time next year or sometime close, we will be taking a look at it again and
Okay,
looking at it for, okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Does this require a roll call? Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, let's call the roll.
Chairman Einhauser?
Yes.
Commissioner Blackman?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock? Commissioner Forte?
Yes.
All right, that is adopted. Next, item B, 2023-113.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Forte.
I'd like to move that upon the recommendation of Istakar Rahman, Chief Financial Officer of the Detroit Water and Sewerage Department, the Board of Water Commissioners approves the accompanying sewer disposal system capital improvement program for fiscal years 2024 through 2028 and the fiscal year 2024 capital budget. And also authorizes Director and CFO to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's call the roll.
Chairman Einhauser?
Yes.
Vice Chair Blackman?
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia?
Yes.
Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes.
Commissioner Forte?
Yes.
All right, and that is adopted. Next, item C, 2023-120. Commissioner Kinlock?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Upon recommendation, I move that upon recommendation of General Counsel, that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorizes the Director to enter into an easement agreement with Lexington Village Preservation Limited Dividend Housing Association LLC, a Michigan limited liability company, with an address of 41-800 West 11 Mile Road in Novi, and Hereford Health System, a nonprofit corporation of Michigan, located at 1 Ford Place, Detroit, Michigan, and for the purpose of maintenance and repair of a DWSD water main, and also authorizes the Director to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
Is there a second?
Support.
Questions or comments? We are granting an easement, or we are being granted an easement?
Okay, so profit with the recommendation.
Jacob Barry is online. He can speak to that.
Enter into an, mhm.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We are receiving an easement in order to maintain access to a
You're
newly
receiving
installed,
the easement. Okay.
yes, 10-foot water main.
Do we have to pay for it?
No.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, all those in favor of accepting this easement, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that is adopted. My other question is, I didn't know we had mains in the suburbs. I thought that was all Great Lakes.
No, this is in the city of Detroit, Commissioner.
Oh, okay.
Just owned by.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Then the next item is item D, the amendment to the bylaws of the Board of Water Commissioners. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that upon the recommendation and opinion of Deborah N. Posbeach, General Counsel, the Board of Water Commissioners for City of Detroit Water and Sewerage Department hereby approves an amendment to Article 9 of its bylaws to establish the Legal and Government Affairs Committee and authorizes the Board Secretary to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote and to notify the public.
All right, moved and supported, discussion. The principal reason we are adopting this amendment to the bylaws, we're motivated by two things. One is the Open Meetings Act, in which we will be limiting the number of committee members to 3, which means we will be able to conduct those meetings virtually. And we are adding a new subject matter committee that will deal with legal affairs and governmental affairs. I've asked Commissioner Kinlock, and he has agreed to chair that new committee. And so that is principally what motivates us. Other comments or questions about this change to our bylaws?
Just to clarify, who will be staffing?
I assume the Office of the General Counsel. But that's a decision for the director to make.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
the bylaws does state that the chief legal officer will be present at all meetings.
all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, then, colleagues, I want to raise this question. We are adding another committee. Our practice has been to conduct all of the committee meetings on the first Wednesday of every week,
Every month.
every month, pardon me. Yeah, we don't work that hard. Every month. With the addition of a new committee, I'm curious about your thoughts. Do we keep our current structure or should we be considering changing the scheduling? And the fact that we can do this virtually mitigates the obligations of people to come here in person. What are your thoughts?
I'm fine with us keeping, because even the actions that we get, they don't seem to be a lot from like, as far as litigation or whatnot. So I think we can try it right now, the same day.
We have some long Wednesday afternoons.
Yeah, yes, we do. Yeah, to
But
vote.
maybe you're right. Let's try it and see what
see.
happens and we can make a change. And of course, people now know they can participate virtually and we're still complying with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act. All right, any questions or comments? All right, then on the amendment to the bylaws, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And the bylaws are amended. Next is the director's report. Mr. Smalley?
Yes, good afternoon, Sam Smalley, Chief Operating Officer, sitting in for Director Brown with his director's report. So many of you may have seen, is in multiple newspapers and media outlets. There was an announcement or a press conference this week announcing that DWSD is going to ramp up its lead service line replacement. Our goal is to replace 5,000 this year and to replace 10,000 next year and every year thereafter until we get all estimated 80,000 lead service lines replaced. Outside funding remains key to being successful. It's an $800 billion plus project, and we need outside funding in order to accomplish this. We've done a significant amount of work in increasing the amount of contractor capacity. Ms. Tiffany Jones has done a phenomenal job of reaching out to small and large contractors, both locally, statewide, and nationally. So we're getting more competition on our bids. Our next offering will be a $45 million offering for lead service lines only that is structured to allow small, medium, and large contractors to equally compete. And we plan on awarding to 4 or 6 or 8 contractors who have the required skills and experience. The number of inoperable fire hydrants is historically low. Special thanks goes to Anil Gosine, the hydrant team, and major contracting for jumping on the hydrants 7 days a week. I've never seen the hydrant number, inoperable hydrants this low, so they've done a phenomenal job. Just as an aside, we're also looking at a pilot project to start painting hydrants in anticipation of some of the major events coming to Detroit over the next year. The number of running water services, you can tell that our production is matching the demand pretty closely. So we have a very high level of productivity with our minor asset repair team called the MARS team within maintenance and repair. We've also had a historically low number of breaks, and that's continuing till now. As of May 12th, we only had 11 breaks. I think the number has actually dropped a few over the last few days. So we've been very blessed with low main breaks recently. One of the major areas that we're focusing on is cleaning our sewers and catch basins. As of the end of April, we cleaned 530. That number is actually much higher right now, and we're getting probably 20 to 25 a day. It's our goal to clean at least 3,000 on an annual basis. As we add additional full-time employees, starting in July, 16 of the 40 additional technicians are going to be assigned to the sewer group, where they will be cleaning sewers and cleaning catch basins. So we anticipate a lot of progress in that area. Cleaning sewers is probably one of the highest priorities that we have. Year to date, this says 74, but I checked on it this morning and we're actually at 90 miles of sewers cleaned so far this year. We have the equipment, but we need the people. And when they come here in July, the cream of the crop that we get is going to go into this area because we realize it's very important. Within the meter operations division, what this slide shows is that our success rate is starting to significantly exceed our failure rate. Meaning when we make the appointments, if we can successfully complete them, it's a success. We also, during the winter, because of COVID and supply chain issues, ran out of 5/8" meters. During that period, we installed straight pipes or templates on 67 properties. Those have all been replaced now with 5/8" meters. We have plenty of meters in stock, and so there are no impediments to success in that area. Looking a little deeper at the failure versus success, the things that prevent our meter technicians from being able to install the meters are either plumbing issues or no access or stop box. We have a plumber on staff now. We highly encourage our customers to take advantage of this free program. We will replace the inlet valve, the outlet valve, or some of the couplings. Whereas historically, our customers have had to hire a plumber to get that work done. We are now offering that as a service. We continue to try to increase the number of remote real estate reads. We are working to eliminate the backlog that we have in this area. Our revenue protection unit over the last year has recouped $4.9 million, 29 in 1 year since July of 22. They're also helping not only with back billing and investigations, but they're also starting to play a very significant role in reducing the amount of non-revenue water. That is water that may be leaking at vacant abandoned houses. They're helping us identify those, ensuring that there's no one living in the house before we effectuate a shut. So they're doing a significant amount of investigative work that allows our field crews to be more efficient and effective. So that team is really helping us out a lot.
Commissioner Blackman.
How, if any way, are squatters affecting our being able to carry on the business of some of these residences that are abandoned?
Well, we continue to have concerns about just shutting water off. So the RPU team will do investigations to see if the house is truly vacant or did somebody remove the meter or some of the piping. If it's just a leak in a truly abandoned vacant house, then we can effectuate a shut, which is something that our field crews normally don't do that kind of investigation work. So that's where RPU helps. Now, your question about how do we address the squatters? Unfortunately, as of right now, it's on a case-by-case basis.
And with what being the, how are we dealing with on a case-by-case basis?
We try to see, I think Mr. Phillips would like to weigh in. Do you want to go to one mic, Matt?
So depending, Sam is right. It all depends on the situation, but to give you an example is that when we do find that there are squatters, we do go out and do an investigation. We identify who is actually residing at the home. Do they have permission to reside at the home? And if we find out that they don't have permission to be at the home, we will contact the local authorities,
Okay.
local precinct to come out and do an investigation. But our RPU team does a great job of identifying the individuals that are there to ensure whether they should or should not be there. But the local authorities are called. In fact, we had one as a great example at the last commissioners or at the last board meeting. Specifically, someone came forward and we did address that, and it was turned over to the local precinct for investigation.
Thank you.
Matt, you want to advance the slide?
Double duty today, sorry.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Nakia Branch Pinson from the Law Department. Just happy to announce that this month or last month, I'm sorry, we filed 2 new collection cases and we're seeking to collect $574,935.16 through those lawsuits. We also brought in $240,453.58 last month, bringing our total to date up to 1.3 million. We also revamped the damage claim process and we've made it more streamlined and efficient, which is definitely allowing us to get through them much quicker.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brian Peckinpah, Public Affairs Director. And on our 2 slides from April, we had 30 news stories that mentioned DWSD. 4 positive stories highlighted the Lifeline Plan, specifically changes in the threshold for water based on the number of people in the home, as well as, oh, thank you. As well as the other benefits that you made through the policy changes. The neutral stories were related to the Highland Park water debt because we are no longer the provider for Highland Park as Great Lakes Water Authority. And we had no negative stories,
Excellent.
which is a win right there.
Yeah, win-win.
See that big 0? We should have made that 0 bold.
Yeah.
Next slide, thank you. For social media activity, most important here is our engagements. Facebook saw 5,346 impressions and 89 link clicks. The top performing Facebook post was "Do not flush." Just because it says flushable wipes doesn't mean you should flush it in the toilet. And the Twitter post was on Opportunity Rising video featuring David Ridgway from the operations team, the Prim manager, and his video with the Opportunity Rising theme that the city has been doing is actually the most watched Opportunity Rising video that they have produced so far of any city employee. So we're very proud that one of our own has the most views of any city employee. In the future will also be, this does not include the paid advertising. In the future, we'll also be including that because there's some purchased engagement that we have as well. Thank you.
I'm Paul Fulton, IT Director of Applications, and next slide, please. So I'm bringing an interesting metric here to share with the board. And this talks about customer contacts that are facilitated by IT, kind of how many times we interact with our customer base on a per month basis. So what you can see here is we generate a lot of customer contacts through these main contacts of billing, email, payments, phone system, and SeeClickFix. Collectively, we're facilitating approximately 625,000 contacts with a customer every month. So we're on target to do about 7.6 million customer contacts for the entire year. And this is for the current fiscal year of July all the way up through March. And we are on target with April with that exact same amount. And May is turning out in that same way as and. And this kind of shows you how we're interacting with the customer in many ways that aren't always visible from the way customer service might on the phone or on the web or through some of the other feeds, just some of the things you can see from the behind the scenes as well. And the IT investment helps make this possible. Next slide, please. And one of the big things that we've done recently was an IVR upgrade. And we replaced the IVR system with a newer system to reduce the complexity and overall cost that we make. So this helps reduce the cost and streamline the call flow within the system. And it allowed us to, for a small investment, relatively speaking, of 120,000, we were able to, in 1 year, recoup a savings of approximately 150,000 with ongoing costs year over year of the same amount between 150 and 200,000. So it represents a large savings for the department as we move forward.
Commissioner Forte, you had a question?
Yeah, just a quick question on your previous slide. What does SCF, you may have said it, I missed it.
Back up one slide, please. Oh, SCF is SeeClickFix. So this is the improved Detroit application that is accessible that people can download and put on their phone and access through the website.
Thank you. Thank you.
And when you're recording contacts, you send me a bill, that's a contact.
Yes, so that's
I pay the bill, that's another contact.
Yes.
Okay.
So to that one communication to that customer in one direction. When that customer comes back and communicates with us to make the payment, we have another opportunity, another interaction with that same customer.
I go paperless now. I just get an email. That's a contact.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Matt Phillips, Chief of Staff. I just wanted to give a brief update on customer service. I know we have a committee that we meet on, but I just wanted to give a couple of updates for the team. I'm just going to do it verbally as opposed to the screen. In the sight of time, we currently have 18,359 of our customers that are currently eligible for Lifeline. So those are the number of individuals, 18,359 that have completed an application and Wayne Metro has vetted and determined that they are eligible for Lifeline. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're receiving the benefit today, just from a timing perspective, but I wanted to give that update. There has been over 1,000 in the last week that have signed up for the program, approximately 1,700 since my last update, which was on May the 3rd. So I just wanted to give that update because I think it's pretty significant. It also brings us awfully close. And if you can kind of continue the math equation here, that before July 1st which is when a year from now, or a year ago on July 1st is when we first introduced the Lifeline program. I believe we started enrollments in August. So before the year is up on this program, introduction of this program, I believe that we will meet Director Brown's goal of 20,000 enrollees in the program. So I just wanted to celebrate that success. The second piece of it is that I know one of the comments that came in earlier about customer calls and customers calling in and the time that it takes. Just wanted to give a quick example, and it just lent itself. I was going to give this update as well, that we had a low pressure situation yesterday in one of our neighborhoods on the northwest side. We received over 800 phone calls in a 30-minute time frame. And there's two pieces here to it. One, we have approximately 30 individuals that are taking phone calls. If each phone call takes approximately beginning to end 10 minutes per call, you can imagine that there was no possible way that we were going to get through 800 calls within 30 minutes of that time frame. The interesting piece, and I think which lends itself to what Mr. Fulton was just up here speaking about in technology, some of the additions. A month ago, I presented some of the new services that we have to be able to track calls and see who's calling. And one of those services is transcriptions. We're actually recording the text of what comes through in a voice from both the customer and our agent. One of the really interesting things from my point of view is that, hey, we can use this as training tools because now we have the complete transcript from both the customer and our side. What Paul was able to use within less than 30 minutes was able to look at that data and determine the words low pressure, no water, and including some of the mileage or the mile roads that customers were calling in for. So we could identify relatively quickly that the issue was not something that was technology based. It was more something of our assets. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. There was also a question earlier about the capital improvement program and when it's reported. And I just wanted to mention that on a monthly basis, the CIP or the improvement program is a committee and it's presented on a monthly basis. So I just wanted, for the record, just announce that. Thank you. Any questions? I believe that conducts the, sorry, Sam, but I believe that conducts the director's report.
We're not going to cover finance or HR.
No, we do that in committee.
All right. Any questions or comments with regard to any of the aspects of the director's report? Collecting $5 million through by our investigation team. And what was the number from legal? 2 million?
1.3 million.
1.3 million. You know, as the director reminds us, anybody who doesn't pay means everybody else has to pay for them. And so I think, well, the numbers themselves compared to our entire budget are modest numbers. Everything helps. And so that's very good news. All right, any other comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Forte.
Yes, just along those lines too, in terms of commendation, the team that, the investigations team and their focus on non-revenue water is really admirable, that they're getting started, that they're making some headway in that issue, which is an extremely costly and expensive drain on the system.
Yeah. Really, it's the same equation because water's running, we're paying for it.
Paying for it.
And can't bill for it.
Right.
Okay, other questions or comments? Then, are there any comments by the commissioners?
Commendations to all of our staff and employees.
Yeah. And with regard to comments by the chair, the other thing that take away from the director's report is the ongoing success of the Lifeline program.
Yes.
I think it's one of the most extraordinary things that's happened in my tenure on this board. It is reflected both in terms of people who are not going to face shutoffs. In fact, they're immediately frozen from a shutoff. It's also reflected in the tenor of the communications we have with the water advocates. I don't want to tell people stop complimenting us but it's nice. That's not the way it was
Nice to hear.
a year and a half ago. All right, any other matters to come before the commissioners? Then a motion to adjourn is in order. It's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Forte. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, watch your email. I'm going to be soliciting your preferences in terms of moving forward with our committees. Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.